The education system is constantly evolving, and we wanted to find out what was to come and how that will impact us as students in the future. We simply want to know what is working, how you feel about it, and what can be done to make the system even better.
I think things are getting better and they're getting more difficult, and that's a good thing. I think teachers want to challenge kids, and I think kids want to be challenged when they get bored. I think every teacher and every kid should experience some sort of a brain speed bump, if you will, where you have to stop and go, wait a minute, that doesn't make sense with what I know already, otherwise no new learning will occur.
Things have become extremely structured in the classroom and in the education system as a whole.
Good. There's been a tighter accountability on teachers and on administrators to really perform and to make sure that we are creating a product that will go out and compete from a global standpoint.
Things have gotten really structured. The problem with that, things getting really structured, is that it prevents teachers, it limits their creativity.
A teacher's freedom in the classroom plays a major role in their connection with their students.
And if we don't figure out how to reach kids and teach them where they are, we're going to be the dinosaur generation. We're not going to be able to connect with kids anymore.
In order to connect with students, you have to take what they are learning and apply it to life. That will make all the difference.
And if you can make learning real and you can see a purpose for it, then I think you take on a more responsible role.
Every educator and student has a different story and background. Therefore, making a system where everyone feels they are needed and cared for can be difficult.
What's good, what's bad is often relative to who you are and where you fit on the spectrum of being an educator.
I think for a school to be successful, you have to know who your customers are.
The environment around a school plays a major role in the school's success.
The community is really engaged around what a school is doing, then the entire school is successful because the school is built around that community. All of it starts with leadership. So there has to be principals in schools that actually believe that a community is a part of a school in order to make it work.
But the environment inside the school matters as well.
I'm concerned about the environment inside the school. I think that's what determines how successful a student's going to be versus how successful they're not going to be.
Or, any kind of enterprise, if you have a positive, cooperative, nurturing environment where the goal is to succeed and it's rigorous and challenging, then a lot of good things happen.
We talked with Ms. Tori Kearney, who has 3 children in 3 different types of schools, one in private high school, one in a magnet middle school, and one in a standard public middle school in the GT program. She shares her observations of the system.
Being in a magnet school, and my other student is not in a magnet school, but she's also in GT, there's a difference in what they are expected to learn. The magnet school does more independent work, where my one child is responsible for taking a book home and reading the book and answering questions and such, where my other student is not held to that same level. They do a lot of in-class assignments for the same books, and they're also doing the same work, but it's a difference. So it's not as much individual responsibility. It's more of a group effort.
She also shares her concerns and wants to know why things are this way.
The problem that I have, though, with the public schools is it appears that they do not hold them to a high level of expectation for the most part. The school where my high schooler was before was more excited that he wasn't a problem child as compared to pushing him to the standards that I set for him. And I think that he could have accomplished a lot more in the public high school, but because they were not requiring as much, then it was more just a push from home as compared to a push all around.
I asked everyone I interviewed what their impact was in the education system, and the responses varied, but they all had a common theme of caring for the students and making it better for all.
I take the best of the best and the worst of the worst when it comes to kids, when it comes to teachers, when it comes to resources, and I make it work.
My goal is to just be passionate to let people know that I will not accept excuses when it comes to how we're going to educate our kids, and to have high expectations, to really share my story. I get a chance to go to a lot of schools and speak, and I get to share my story with kids that are going through very similar things that I've gone through, and to let them know that, you know, Mr. Bedell can make it, and Mr. Bedell wasn't the greatest student, but Mr. Bedell had a work ethic.
The way I help to build the educational system is by building the capacity of my staff and my students. Working closely with my department chairs and my teachers, finding opportunities for them to continue to grow and expand their knowledge in their respective areas, and giving them opportunities to act in leadership roles. We always want to make sure that we are training as we go along so that we have people to replace us. We're not going to be here forever, and we want to make sure that when it's our time to move on, that we have people who can continue the work.
For me, it's constantly putting out what I would want to see for my own child in a school. And once I continue talking about that, it's building environments with principals so that that's existing on every single campus.
Maintain what the teachers are doing, making sure that children have an opportunity to do their very best. The teachers are giving students, rigorous lessons, and students are expanding their knowledge and putting forth what they learn to good use, and making sure that that environment exists, that students, I don't want to say children, that students can grow both academically and socially.
I think my job and my role to make that happen is to be visible and positive, and I kind of, keep the trains on schedule. Behind the scenes is to make sure people have less things to worry about logistically, to make sure that teachers have support and time and resources, access to training and meetings and conferences, for kids to know that whatever could be bugging them, we're going to respond to if we know about it.
That I work well with all of my students, my teachers, my colleagues, administrators, and that I try to support teachers, I try to support students, and challenge them, make sure that everybody's held accountable. When teachers and students are held accountable, then a lot of good things happen.
Me personally, talking with teachers, talking about their lessons and about how they organize their instruction. I do that on a daily basis.
Technology will have a major impact on the future of the education system, but will that be a good thing?
Technology is a gift, and we have to be responsible with that gift. We have to learn how to use it in the way that best benefits our students and their needs, but certainly we live in a world that is connected because of technology, so we have to make technology our friend.
You can't just give a teacher or a student the resource without having them see the benefit of how it applies to everything else that we do.
Here are a few things to remember about students and the education system.
Students will either rise to the expectations that you set for them, or they will fall to the acceptance level that you allow them to. And in the classroom or out of the classroom, everyone needs to strive for their best, whether it's public school or private school.
You can start off at the very bottom in this country, and if you take advantage of your public high school education, you can go as far as you want to go in this world.
So it's important. If you're having fun but you're not learning, you're just a happy dummy.